talk about the importance of stretching. That's our main topic today.
Right. So when I think about stretching, I feel like most people don't realize how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I also feel like it's put on like the bottom of the list when it comes to overall wellness.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
If I have time, I'll do it, kind of thing.
and most people don't believe they have time.
Right.
So we have so much time for a workout, for example. Let's say we have 20 to 30 minutes for a workout. Well, we don't factor in. We're not going to get into like warming up and cooling down.
No.
Stretching is a form of cooling down, but we rarely warm up, which is dangerous in many ways because our body isn't ready for intense exercise.
You know what's funny is when I'm at the gym, I see so many people just go hit the weights, right? And it's very common for people not to warm up, I think.
Yeah, and it goes right along with stretching because most people don't hang around after and
Right.
stretch.
They just leave.
They just
Yeah.
leave the gym like, oh, I don't have time.
And you know, I've been there where I'm thinking to myself, well, I'll just go home and I'll stretch. Or if you're going to the gym,
Right.
maybe you're doing your workouts at home. And then I get home, I start making breakfast, I shower, I do all these other things, and the stretching doesn't happen.
Right.
So doing it immediately after the workout is really beneficial, very helpful, because you're actually going to get it done.
It's the only way to do it,
Mhm.
right after. Otherwise, you're not going to do it.
Right.
That's just the fact of the matter.
He said it more point blank than me.
Yeah, if we don't do it right after, we don't do it. We're all in the same boat. So it's important to schedule that time in. So if you have 20 minutes for your workout, schedule 15 minutes for your workout and 5 minutes to stretch after.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's such a short time, 5 minutes. We can all make time for 5 minutes. And you know what I think of when I look at muscles? Well, when it comes down to like the three main areas of physical wellness, we have resistance training, we have cardiovascular, and then we have stretching. And stretching is the least paid attention to. And I think like you don't get the whole picture. So if you get injured, for example, you can't work out.
Right,
If you're not able to work out, then you're not able to work towards your goals.
right.
So it's a whole puzzle that needs to be put together fitness-wise, and that's putting aside, stress, for example, or nutrition, for example, to get your goals, to reach your goals. But it's important to put those three together physically so you can see that whole picture and work towards your goals.
Unfortunately, a lot of times I think it does take something extreme, like an injury, for us to realize the importance of stretching. I was there myself. I had a hip injury not a couple years ago or not too long ago, and it wasn't until then that I realized that about preventing, in order to prevent for this to be continually happening, I had to stretch. But until then, I was one of those people that put stretching on, I guess, back burner, so to speak. So,
Well, the thing is, it seems like people get injured, and then they do their stretching, and then they do their rehab type of stuff, or they do nothing. But let's say in this case, they do that kind of stretching, and then after the injury goes away, they stop stretching.
you're like, "Ooh, I'm feeling good now. Don't got to do those stretches."
Yeah, so then the injury comes back. Like, I don't know what happened. The injury came back, it was feeling fine, and now here it is again.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention that when our muscles, like I picture our muscles, so when we stretch our muscles, we lengthen them. Like when we stretching our forearm, like we're lengthening those muscles. You grab your foot and you do your quad, you're lengthening those muscles. And by working them out, by let's get a technical here.
Oh boy, big words coming at us.
Contracting our muscles, not so big, but when you're contracting and making them smaller, like you're doing a curl, for example, you're making those muscles smaller. You're continually making them smaller, and nothing lengthens them if you're not stretching. So by making them smaller and smaller, you're shortening the muscle. And then when it comes to like doing something explosive, or like you're shoveling snow or chopping wood, like something that's more like a quicker movement, more functional movement, then that's when we get injured, because our back is like continually getting smaller, the muscles, right? And then we do something that's quick and we lengthen that, and our muscle isn't used to being that long. As we keep shortening and shortening, we do one movement that lengthens, and that's when those muscles like tear, or we get those injuries. When I think of it as like a ball of because our muscles are like little like threads, like strings. So I think of it like all these strings are like continually getting tighter and tighter, and that's where we get these little knots Like knots show up in our back, they show up in our hamstrings and our calves.
Yes.
And by working those out and lengthening them out, that's when injuries come up.
I was thinking as Drew was talking away there. Good information, by the way.
Doesn't listen to a word I say.
But I was thinking about a comparison because my brain is always comparing different situations. So you're talking about like the components of fitness being like a balance, right? Like the strength workouts, the cardiovascular workouts, the stretching, what we're talking about now. Like those three make a balance. And I was comparing it to like a balanced meal. For example, a balanced meal, we have our proteins, our carbs, and our healthy fats. So to get a complete meal, we need or a balanced complete meal, we need those three things. Well, to get a balanced workout, we need those three things.
Very good point.
Isn't that a nice comparison?